Hello, guys, and welcome back again to another amazing episode. And this is the Diaspora Transition episode, where we interview people who moved back from the diaspora and, touch down on the continent for the first time, doing some business here. We dive into their life, we interview them, we ask them, why did you even decide to come to Africa in the first place? And today we do have here someone very special. She is a young journalist, okay? She's interviewed people like Chance the Rapper, Jack Dawson, which is CEO for Twitter, and some actress that comes from Wakanda. Can you imagine that, interviewing actress from Wakanda? It's interesting. I never saw myself doing this when I was 10 years old. Very impressive, and I'm very fortunate to have her here on the show with her mom. So if it's something you're interested, stay tuned.
Okay, so we've been talking, and I hope you've done your research on the names. So you are Sunday, so you'll be called
Colby?
Kwesi.
Kwesi.
So I've been thinking, because I'm AC, you're Kwesi,
Yes.
we're both born on a Sunday, we should be the Kwesi and AC show.
The Kwesi and AC show.
Yes.
So we should be the AC and Kwesi show.
Ah,
AC and Kwesi show.
touche.
I'm your sidekick.
Welcome on the show, Samatime.
Thank you. My name is Samara Osae-Asare. Like he said, I am a 10-year-old journalist and I am a presenter for Kids Arena on TV3 at Media General in Ghana.
I like that.
And I am Stacy Osae-Asare. I am her mom, her manager, her cheerleader, her bestie. I'm everything.
Yes.
And it's amazing. I saw you duos really doing great.
Thank you.
I
Thank
saw
you.
Black Star Line interviewing celebrities there. That is beautiful. How did it come about? Have you always been interested in doing interviews?
Wait, really quick.
Yeah.
I have some terms and conditions. If you want to interview me, it's under one condition, that at a later date, I'll be able to interview you on my platform.
Awesome. Okay, sure.
Deal?
I do. Let's shake hands on it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So how did you do that? How did it come about? The passion of interviewing.
I always wanted to be a journalist. I remember I was very young and I interviewed my parents a lot. I wanted to know more about the world. I'm a very curious person. So when I was able to start interviewing celebrities and entrepreneurs, I wanted to know more about them, how their journey began and what did they think of when they were already starting this. Like, I wanted to know their journey. I want to know about what they do, more about the world.
Now I see you're very comfortable interviewing them. How do you do that? Because for every interview, I must say I'm nervous all the time. But you look very confident, comfortable interviewing these people. How do you do it?
I look at them and say, well, they were children too. I'm a child and I want to know what was going on in their minds when they were little kids. They want to do this in the first place, and that makes me comfortable because I feel like that, well, we're all special, you know? And I like to learn more about them, and I think that's also the good thing about it.
So you saw that when you were a child, you knew that you always wanted to interview people.
Yeah.
Now that is interesting, and you are everywhere. I saw you on Swain's podcast in America.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. How did that come about?
Well, I was able to see him at the Black Star Line Festival, and when he came, I was shocked. I was like, whoa, he's here in Ghana.
Yeah.
So he was like, I wonder who's going to be capturing this footage, because we had the Dave Chappelle and Chance the Rapper conversation.
Right.
He saw me in the midst, me interviewing different people.
Right.
So my parents came up to him, asked him, well, would you like to interview with our daughter? He
Right.
said, sure.
Wow.
And that was my first time meeting him, and I was like, wow, I love his energy, and I love his style of interviewing, because he also asked me a few questions. And then from there, we were able to meet again at the concert, and I was like, wow, he's still here. And then from there, he invited me to his show. It's amazing.
That is beautiful. Now your manager and also your mom behind everything. Now, seeing your daughter on Wave, or I've seen her everywhere. Okay, all the big platforms. Instagram, I see her all the time. Doing what she's doing. How does that make you feel?
Mixed emotions. Number one, one unknown fact about me, I hate the internet. So I help manage it. She manages her own platform as well, but when she's obviously presenting or doing homework or interviewing, I kick in and, do some stuff for her. I never expected to see her take off as much as she has. It's kind of odd for me. I'm her mom, so I don't see it the way the outside world may be viewing it. So it's just like, oh, okay, you want to interview people, let's just have fun and just do it. And that's what we're doing. We're in the space of having fun and exploring what it is she feels passionate about. It could change, who knows? But for now, we're having fun.
I want to know tell me some fun facts about Samatime.
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, Samatime is broken down to Sama because my close family calls me Sama, short for Samara, and it kind of rhymes with summertime.
Okay.
And in Ghana, it's all year round, and in other parts of the world, it's 4 seasons. We look at summer as a place where you have fun, a time where kids come out of school, they're having fun, it's enjoying, and for the nature, it's when it's already bloomed and is doing everything it can. It's getting all the sun, it's getting all the water, and children are playing around and everything. I am a Ghanaian American, but I also trace roots back to the Caribbean. I work for a TV network in Ghana, but on the side I also do celebrities or entrepreneurs interviews to connect the bridge from Ghana to the rest of the world.
Amazing.
I am a bookworm. I love cooking. And in 2nd grade, my teacher, Miss Doma, was able to help scout out 5 children, me included, for a prestigious school in New York City called Horseman.
Tell me about it. What is the Horseman? I've heard it's very famous. It's quite expensive.
Yes.
Tell me all about it.
So with Horseman, they were looking for scholars from different schools to, be on a scholarship. So they came to our school and they asked the teacher for 2nd grade, Miss Doma, and I remember that she went around saying to every child, okay, we have this deal with Horseman, and whichever you guys are able to do your homework and everything on time, bring it in, and have everything correct, I might pick you. So what she did with me, she said, Samara, you have to keep it up. You're doing certain things like stop getting homework wrong a bit, and she would just do that to tease me. And I was like, what? Because she said that I'm not going to Horseman if I keep it up. So then one day, she told me and my other 4 classmates to come out. And then she told me and them, she said, I have some news for you guys. They're like, what, are we in trouble? She said, no. You guys have been picked to go to Horseman. And we're like, yes! And then there was some steps to be included for it. And I remember running home to go to my mom and showing her. She was so happy.
Yeah. Wow. I was excited.
Yeah.
Because that's not an opportunity that comes often for people to be scouted out to go to such a prestigious school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Now, the beginning of the journey, we will go back a little bit, but you coming to Ghana, okay, and with your parents and then beginning to start journalism. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience?
Ghana is a bit different for me because we grew up in New York, and New York is full of different, backgrounds and everything. Not to say that Ghana doesn't have that, especially Accra, but you can go down the street, there's an Italian spot here, you can go down maybe to the different street, there's the Spanish place here, and you go to another neighborhood, you got, let's say, Bangladeshis, you got Chinese people, all there, and then the weather is also different. Like I said earlier, we have 4 seasons, winter, spring, summer, and autumn.
Right.
And for Ghana, it's all year round, it's hot and hotter. I miss the winter a lot, I miss the snow. You can't walk around like a winter fashionista. And the schooling too. For our school now, we have like 8 or 9 subjects. We are under a British curriculum, and everything is set up different. We have assemblies, and I think one of the biggest differences here from New York, but one of the positives, is that every morning we pray. We give thanks to God.
We're
And
here
then
in Ghana.
before, yeah,
Interesting.
and then before we leave, we also give thanks to God again. Before our exams and after our exams, it's all about God. And that's what I admire. I like that a lot.
Well, how's life changed for you coming to Ghana and living here
A
compared to the
lot.
New York life?
A lot.
Tell me some of it.
One, I used to live in a little apartment. I came from humble beginnings. And now we live in a house.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, wow, this is cool. We're able to have our own backyard. I'm able to go to a huge school with a big campus. There's a gym outside. And I'm able to see different ethnicities here. Like ones I haven't seen really back in my old school. Like we have an Indian in our class.
Really?
We have a Pakistani in our class. We have someone that's from the UK herself. And I'm like, wow,
You didn't have that
this
in
is
the
cool.
US?
I didn't have a UK person nor a Pakistani.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. And the teaching is definitely different. Like I said, it's under a British curriculum, so we learn things a bit different. And I'm like, because there's times where I get marked wrong because I'm spelling certain words in the American way.
Right.
And I'm saying, this is correct. They say, no. So that's definitely changed.
Interesting. Now let's go back a little bit. It's me seeing her interview people at the Black Star Line, and then there's a bunch of journalists there, and then you see yourself young, smart among these people. Do you sometimes feel any type of way when you look around?
Very happy.
Very happy being 10 years old and still, doing amazing things, because I can tell you for a fact that I've not seen anybody doing what she's doing, and it's amazing. I get nervous all the time when I see you do this so easily. If someone watching this video at the same age as you are and wants to aspire to become like you, what would you tell that person?
I'll tell that person to keep going, dream big. You're doing great. Keep on, believe in yourself. Get a great mentor. Study on how to be a presenter, because it could be a little rough along the ways. And know that that's what you want to do. Because there's times when you want to change something. So I say that. But most of all, believe in yourself and look to God for help. I feel like that's how we're able to do all of these things. Is because of God. If God didn't want us to do it, then we wouldn't do it.
Interesting. I like that. Now, let's talk about your beginnings.
Okay.
Now, you brought your whole family.
Yeah, I did.
I saw 3 kids here with you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Can we just go back a little bit? New York, life there, growing up, to the point where you were like, listen, I want to move to the continent with my whole family. I want to know everything. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so my husband and I, we have roots here in Ghana. His is much closer to home. His parents were born and raised here. I want to say 16 years ago when we met and started dating, I always wanted to come to Ghana. But nothing ever happened. We've been gallivanting around the world except for the continent. So after we had children, life started getting a little rough where we're from in New York. A lot of killings and things like that happen.
What was happening?
So I don't even know where to begin. So you have kidnappings, which is very prevalent. You have people who, I think, to be honest, I'll just scale it down to mental instability. I'm going to say that. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I mean that as in a whole. Like, the environment is not conducive for emotional, mental, and spiritual thriving, if that makes sense. A lot of people are just angry, and there's a lot of thefts and a lot of killings. And I don't know if anybody's ever said this on your platform, but me being from the Bronx, when I was 5 years old, I saw someone get their head blown off in front of me, and I was like a few meters away from the school.
Wait, what?
Like in the street. So this is normal life for people in New York, for some people who live within what we call the 5 boroughs. So there's the Bronx, there's Harlem, there's a certain part of Harlem which is in Manhattan. Harlem is like the upper region. The lower region is what you would call Manhattan. Then there's Brooklyn, and then there's Queens, and then there's Staten Island, and there's Long Island. But being from the Bronx, Brooklyn, Harlem, those are some of the hardest boroughs to grow up in. And so you kind of you're forced to grow up in an environment where you have to think quick on your feet. It's survival of the fittest. So you see a lot of things. There's drug addicts you're exposed to, sometimes prostitution you see. It's a different world. It's a different animal out there. America. Yeah. Now, I won't say America's all bad. America provides street smarts. America provides good education. America can provide good jobs. Everything is about how you can navigate the system there.
Growing up there,
Yeah.
let's get into it. Seeing that environment and see, robbery going on, drug addiction going on, and you having to maneuver your way through that, growing up, living there, even to the point of having children, and having to nurture your children in that environment. Can we talk about this?
Sure. So when I was her age at 10, I had already adamantly decided I'm not having children. Like, who wants to have children in a world that's so messed up? But as God would have it, I remember my late grandmother once told me, she was like, you can't make those decisions. God is going to be the ultimate factor in all of it. So let's say fast forward, I'm 23, I meet my husband, I fall in love with him, we find out we have a connection on many different levels, and boom, now we're married with kids. So now the conversation is becoming, when do we take the kids home? And when I say home, I mean the continent of Africa, specifically Ghana. When do we take them to, get a sense of who they are? I've always wanted them to understand their background and their upbringing. So COVID happens. We have a long, hard conversation, and I'm like, you know what? I think it's time for us to make the transition. So me and the kids relocate, and when we relocate here, we have family here, but being from New York, we've made it our business to, we'll communicate with our family, but we won't rely on them heavily. Our thing in our household is we rely on God, period. God is the end and be all of everything that happens in our household. We consult with God before we make any moves first. So what we did was, I called up family members that we have here in Ghana. Hey, is it a wise decision? What do you think? I consult with elders too. And for the aspect of bringing up children, everybody unanimously says yes. They'll be brought up here with, respect. And once we came here, I noticed, which is a big thing for me, it's a big deal, that, like I said, in our household, God is first. We chose a school that exemplifies the same thing. It's consistent. So they start with prayer, they end with prayer, and I'm happy about that. It's consistent with how we raise our children. When I say we consult with God, I'm going to take it a bit deeper. So before we made the transition to come here, I asked God, was it something favorable? I didn't really seek a lot of consultation with our family members who are in the States. Now, I'll have you know that we have a lot of family members who are Ghanaian who left to live in the States and they never would have come back. Yeah, we're going to touch on that too, because I think it's important for the diaspora to hear both sides of the story. So there's a lot of Ghanaians who are like, nah, I'm not going back. Why are you guys going? You guys are crazy. So we make the transition. We kind of kept it low key. We didn't want anybody to talk us out of what we were trying to do. That's another thing I also want to touch on too. If God or the universe, or however you relate to it, is putting something inside of you and says, this is what you should do. Sometimes it doesn't seem like the most sensible thing to do. But if you step out on faith and you don't broadcast it to the world before you can actually try, you may see it was probably the best move. So when we got here in 2020, I was never expecting the things that would follow after it. My brother-in-law, who had been here for some years, had said that he was in talks with someone at TV3, and they were coming up with a new kids show. And they wanted to see who would be good fit. And he says, my niece would be an excellent fit. and I think you guys need to try her out. And she was 9 at the time.
Okay.
So we go in for an interview. We talked to them. They loved her, and they said, "Let's do this." And she's been on TV3 since she was 9. So actually, this
now.
month makes a year that she's been working for TV3.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So yeah,
She's doing so much amazing. I'm
Thank
full
you.
of compliments because
thank you.
at 10 years old, I don't think you want to see. You don't know what I was doing at 10 years old. But I'm nowhere close, you know. And then look at the upbringing she must have had for you guys to be able to allow her to do what she's doing. Yeah, I think it's quite unique. What would you say to parents watching who, you know, have a kid who might be interested in, you know, going out of the box, doing some few things, but having it, you know, finding it difficult to be able to let them do what they want to do?
It all depends on how you raise your children. In our household, the way we fostered nurturing and talents in our home, it's like we sit back and we wait to see what they're interested in. All 3 children have very distinct personalities. One loves acting. One loves, well, they all 3 like to sing, but one is more interested in journalism, which happens to be this one. She's very curious about any and everything, even down to plants and nature and bugs.
Especially that. Maybe not the bug fur, but especially
bugs, because you know more about arachnids than I do. So there goes that. So we wait to see what they lean toward, and then we say, okay, how can we assist? As parents, we have this thing where we're like, okay, we've done the bulk of our lives living it. What can we offer you? And I think it's a gift. Like, if God gives you children, you're supposed to be there to help facilitate and help them birth their dreams into reality and help cultivate that. So coming here, which was, I didn't foresee any of this happening. I just wanted to come here and give them a better upbringing. It was like, okay, this is her gifting. She said this to you in New York. This is what she wanted to do. Now I bring you your brother-in-law who brings an opportunity. What will you do with it? So we nurture that. Now, what I'll say to parents, sit back, observe your children as best as you can. I've said this in a prior interview before, but I'll say it again. Money is not the end and be all of everything. It's just a matter of networking. How do you communicate with people? I'm a firm believer that God sends people in your path. You just have to have the discernment to know who is who. And you have to also understand right time, right place. If you have an opportunity and you see, like, let's say your child wants to become an actor, maybe you're talking to someone at your job or someone on the train, someone who knows you, and they're working in that field. You can go and say, hey, you know what, my child may be interested in this. So basically, knowing who to talk to and just asking for help too. I'm really keen on asking for advice. I'm never shy about doing that because I want to do things the right way.
Interesting. Now, what were you doing in the U.S. work related? You know, before
the kids or after?
Before, during, after.
Okay, so so these are fun facts you're going to learn today. Before I had them, I was working in a myriad of jobs. So back home we have something called, how do I say, temping. So I started working in corporate America when I was 17. So I was working in the bank, and then I worked in a law office. I worked a bunch of different jobs, and I did this intentionally because I wanted to know what it was I felt most comfortable doing. At some point in my early 20s, I decided that I loved giving back to people, so I found myself at an addictions program as a counselor. So that was a great job. And then I got pregnant with her, so then I had to give all my attention to her, so I just stopped working. And then when I did that, I basically became a stay-at-home mom. And I found a lot of joy in teaching her and molding her and giving her a head start in life. So I would have her read very complex books when she was what we call first grade, but In your terms, we would call it primary,
school.
like year 1.
Wow.
So I would give her complex books, and
Year two.
yeah, year 2. So that would be your year 2
Yeah.
back home. So I would give her like The Alchemist was that's a household favorite of ours. So I gave it to her so that it could build her vocabulary and comprehension. And then I think it was recently you asked to read it again.
Yeah, when I was
Yeah, like a few months ago. And
place.
yeah, in this place, funny enough. So she read it again and she understands it very well. So this is the type of home training we give our kids. So we want them to be many steps ahead, and that's basically it.
So
There's another one.
What?
You're a caterer.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay, so yeah, manager, momager stuff on the brain. I forget things. Thank you. So, me being home, taking care of all 3 and rearing them, since I said earlier, I was working for a very long time. And I wanted to feel like I could still generate some sort of income. So I love cooking. So I started doing at-home based catering. And that turned pretty well. And then we just decided to up and come here. And then I actually tried to do it here.
really?
And it was cool, but it stopped once the opportunity for TV3 came.
Oh,
So then I shifted everything and all my energy into her. So yeah, that's what I was doing.
and then how is it like being her mom and her manager at the same time?
It's a lot because I'm being grabbed from so many different places. So I'm a mom of 3, and then I'm a wife. And when I actually had my mom here at one point too,
Oh, she came down.
she lived with us, and
Even to this day.
I didn't know she went back.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna get into that. She went back. So I was pulled in so many different directions, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's rewarding. It can be emotionally taxing at times, but overall, it's rewarding because I see the promise, for her, what it can turn into. So it's an adventure. I'll say that.
A lot of time we here in Ghana want to go to the US.
Mm-hmm.
We want to. There's greener pastures there. Okay, so we want to go there. I see you don't agree with me.
Yes and no. It's complicated. Yeah.
I mean, maybe because I'm saying that because, well, look at where I am now.
Yeah.
But I feel like that if God wanted you to come here, He's going to find a way for you to thrive. So whether you're meant to be here, you're meant to be there, or anywhere in the world, I think it's all based upon God.
Okay, I like that.
Thank you.
I like that. Interesting. Now, how do you see opportunities down here? I know you're very young, 10 years old, but you have a very strong mom who
Yes.
always guides you and stuff like that.
Which I'm very grateful for.
Do you see opportunities around, going to school or, day-to-day life? Do you see some things that you're like, wow, that's actually a good...
Yeah, I think that opportunities are all around. It's just about who sees it and who's able to grab it and cultivate it. So if you have that calling, I think it will be just for you. Because somebody can just go on the roadside and help the people who are blind and poor and do a whole project with them, involving them. I think that it depends who's coming along, who's doing something. So opportunities all around. It's just about who sees it.
Are you telling me some of the challenges you face, doing what you're doing, doing interviews and doing journalism? And I know that you're also in school as well. So
Yeah.
how do you overcome all those things?
How I overcome all those things? Well, first of them is timing, because there's times where I have to do my homework or maybe do extra studying, and I have to sacrifice a part of that time to do the interviewing practice or go to TV3. So what I do, I like to partition my time the best I can so that I can organize it pretty well, have time for my studies, but also have time for my private life. Another one is the fact that there are so many adults doing these things and not too many children, especially that are on a network and a presenter. So that's also a big challenge because people don't really expect that. So for me and my family, my mom and my dad, we have to push forward and try to find ways how to get in otherwise. I think those are two of the biggest challenges.
Yeah. I like that. Now, your journey is very interesting. I know some kids are watching right now, even from the diaspora.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're like, wow, look at that girl. No, I wouldn't be like that.
I appreciate it.
If someone like that is watching, what would you say to the person?
I'd say thank you. I appreciate it a lot. And dream on. You can do it. I believe in you.
I like that. Coming to Ghana, right? You're living here for how long now?
3 years.
3 years. Let's talk about that. How has it been?
Oh my gosh. It's been an emotional roller coaster.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, so coming in from New York, you are used to electricity free flowing 24/7. Over here, you will get what we call doomso, lights out. And it affects every single thing, like no cooking, no taking showers, no flushing toilets, no AC, no fan. It's hot. And it was enough to drive someone mad. And you never know when it's going to happen. It's always a surprise. So that was a struggle for me, but not in the sense that it would make me leave. Interestingly enough, what Ghana has done, it's toughened me up and it's taught me how to think out the box. So if lights out happens and it affects my water, I go and I store up lots of water in the house. So when it happens again, I'm not caught off guard. It also teaches you how to live without certain things, and it's very humbling, actually. And as much as I could be annoyed with it, as much as I'm very appreciative, it lets me know what other people have been going through for hundreds of years and they've survived, they've been okay. I'm going to be okay too. So it's helped in that end. Cultural nuances. Coming here, you'll find that Ghanaians can be extremely polite, but also passive aggressive. So when I say passive aggressive, I want to make sure I'm clear on what that means. It could be pleasantries with a lot of underlying motives. And for us from the diaspora, most of us are very straightforward. And a lot of Ghanaians are not used to that. So it's almost like if I communicate with somebody and I'm like, all right, I don't have this type of time to beat around the bush. What is it that you want?
Right.
A Ghanaian might take that as, oh,
Yes,
you know, it's too much. Oh, please. And I'm like, no, I just want to get to the point. I have things to do. And then recognizing time management is terrible. Like I can say, okay, I want to be somewhere at 1 p.m. That person might not show up until 5. Not cognizant of time. And diasporas, you know, we're very keen on time because our phrase is time is money. How much money is being lost during the time that you've wasted? So we think about things like that. Any other nuances? The driving here is insane. Yeah. I thought New York drivers were crazy. No, I got into like 4 car accidents since I've been here. I've been in 0 car accidents in New York. Wow. Yeah. So here driving is...
Now, how do you manage over? How do you adapt to it? Because most people, I had people reach out to me about all this inconvenience.
Yeah.
And then even people moved here, but they left.
I've encountered that too.
Yeah, so
I've made friends and they all left.
So how do you you know, you be in the shower and the water will cut off, you have to fetch with a pail, and you're not used to that. In New York, you have to shower 24/7.
Yeah.
That is nothing to worry about.
Nope.
There. But here in Ghana, you have to face it almost day-to-day basis. How do you overcome that? How do you maneuver your way through that?
I stay ready. I stay ready. I would tell a lot of the diaspora, watch as many videos as you can, such as your videos, Ivy Prosper, Natural Ghana Girl. Anna Achapong has been missing in action, but she's been a bulk of a help for me. You know, transitioning over here, she kept it real the whole time. She left no stones unturned, no surprises. So when I came, it was like, okay, if doomsday occurs, and I don't know when, let me just stock up on water. I always say think ahead. And have it in your mind that Ghana is not the U.S. I think when a lot of people come here and they embrace Ghana for what it is, it makes the process a lot smoother. But you're going to have to be open to the nuances because it's still a developing country. come here with that thought process, and give yourself time. I think people have this weird perception, like, okay, some YouTubers have made it so when I get there, it's going to be just like this. No, the same way you have to put in work in the U.S. is the same grace and time you have to put in here too. I can say that I have literally learned that firsthand. You're going to have to put in the work. You're going to have the patience of Job to be here. But when you have it, it's like God's blessings pour in. And that's what I'm experiencing.
What has Ghana taught you so far? 3 years of living here.
Patience.
Patience.
That's like the resounding word for me. Patience, humility. I say you'll go far in Ghana if you can be humble. I've seen a lot of diaspora come here on, and it's easy to get lost in the mix of my dollar is more powerful, so I can do this. If you don't know how to manage it well, your money will dwindle really quick. If you don't have a plan from A to Z, because anything can happen in Ghana. I would say be humble, because what you may have today may not be tomorrow. And that can be for the best and that could be for the worst. So be humble. Ask a lot of questions. Take a lot of advice. A lot of Ghanaians are open to helping. That's what I've learned. Like, they want to help if you allow them to. So you have to build that bridge. And I think that's a whole nother conversation by itself, that diaspora and Ghanaians need to have a very important question and answer forum together. Yeah, I think it would be a beautiful exchange.
I like that. Now, a lot of people are trying to move back, but also in Ghana, we are trying to go to the US. We spoke behind cameras.
Yeah.
This. I want us to talk about it. Why do you think that is?
Me living here 3 years, I can say firsthand, I've seen why a lot of Ghanaians prefer greener pastures, or they think greener pastures are in the US or in the Western world. I'll say this. The Western world has a system, a tried and true system that's been working for hundreds of years. Ghana is just getting its bearings and trying to figure it out. And in the process of trying to figure it out, a lot of people are suffering. There's a lot of, so many nuances. Things could go good and they can go bad in the Western world. You have to have a lot of street smarts to be there. The same hustler's mentality that my family and I brought here to survive is the same one you need when you go to the Western world. You need to look at things from a different perspective. I think people are creatures of habit, so maybe some Ghanaians who are here, born and bred, never left, there are different opportunities here that they don't see because they haven't left. Whereas I come here, I see things different. And it's like, hey, why are you not doing this? Okay, say for instance, there's tons of trash everywhere. Right. A Ghanaian can think, I can make money off of this. Yeah. Let me go and pick up trash. Let me see where we can recycle and I can make money off of this. I tell you, Accra would be so much cleaner, 10 times cleaner. And not to say that Accra is not beautiful, it is. It's just like any place in the world. If you've traveled enough like me and my family have, you will see that there is beauty everywhere you go. There are nuances everywhere you go. It's the same narrative, just spoken by different people, different languages.
I like that. I like that. Now, if an African is watching, right, you've lived in the US all your life, okay, and they're like, listen, I don't think I can make it there. I want to leave Africa. I want to go to the US. What would be your advice for somebody like that?
Pray.
Pray?
It's the same thing, same method I had to use before I came here. Pray. Ask God to lead you. Because sometimes you think you're leaving for greener pastures and you find out that it's not greener over there. Matter of fact, you've traded safety for chaos just for some dollars. And there's a lot of people who are not surviving over there. As I said previously, the Western world is plagued with a certain spiritual mental illness where people are irritable. People are killing each other over the most irrational things. Ghana, you don't see that. Ghana's peaceful. It's loving. I want to say, even with its nuances, God has his hand on this nation. is beautiful. And you have to ask yourself, why do so many foreigners want their hands on the continent? There is something here that is keeping the continent together through all of its atrocities and tragedies. Is still thriving, and every other nation is looking outside of the continent and it wants its hands here. Ask yourself, why is that? Ask yourself, are you leaving prematurely before God has even begun to work in you and show you what you have embedded in you that can work here? Ask yourself that before you think to go to greener pastures. Now, you might say on the flip side, but you're here. Why would you want to come here? I'll say this too. Go where your capital can afford. Go where your tolerance level leads you to be most comfortable. And also always have God, or however you relate to the creator or the universe, as a huge part and the central factor of all your plans. And I think everything will work flawlessly.
The rate at which people kill themselves in the U.S. kind of contributes in any way, shape, or form, knowing very well that my children might not necessarily have a very comfortable life here, but then would be better off in Africa, Ghana. Did that contribute to that decision?
I would say a good 40%. In the Western world, it's very competitive because you have people from all over migrating over there to compete, to get the best of the best. I can't necessarily say that my life was not good in the U.S. I would be lying. I've had privileges that are almost unheard of, where opportunities were afforded me not because of my background. It's just because of a mindset I had. I never came into something thinking that I couldn't get something. I never look at an opportunity and say, oh, well, maybe I'm not equipped. No, I am equipped. I'm up for the challenge. I think that anywhere I go. I think a lot of diaspora, especially New Yorkers in particular, will come here and have that mindset and never say like, oh, I can't do this. That's why you see certain people coming here, starting businesses, and some of them who can, outlast the nuances of Ghana thrive very well. But I'll say that to everybody. Never have the mindset that you can't do something. You'll talk yourself out of a gift before you even see it materialize, which doesn't make any sense. So always tell yourself you can. Even if it looks like you can't do it right now, you definitely can do it. Just ask for the assistance. Ask for God to give you the wisdom and discernment to know who is around you, what questions to ask. How can you network with this person? How can you build meaningful, long-lasting relationships? And I'll say that for Ghanaians to do the same.
Now, you being a family, you made mention of Anna Champong. They are a family also moved from the Netherlands to Ghana, and then where for some reasons they didn't find it feasible for them to keep living here in Ghana. What would be an advice that you would give to a family trying to move to the continent, and so that they don't have to be prematurely prepared to fall into situations that might not necessarily help them living here, but would have to go back?
In your personal life, I'd say look for your giftings. I've always read, for me growing up in a Christian background, your gifts will make room for you. I believe that wholeheartedly. I see it happening with my child. If you're a cook, look to see what different skill set you can bring to Ghana. Maybe you don't open a restaurant, but you can open up a school to teach people how to cook. Think out the box. Maybe the managerial side of things. Open up schooling for that. If you're into presenting, as my daughter said earlier, find a mentor, someone who's good in that capacity. Maybe you can be the mentor. Maybe that's what you do. Bring those giftings here. I also want to say capital is a big thing. That's something that a lot of people don't talk too much about this, but I think it's time that we be honest and blunt about it. You can survive in the continent if you have money coming out of the Western world.
Really?
Yes.
Without that?
Good luck. Without it, good luck. Because you'll most undoubtedly return back to try and regroup and recoup and then come back. So if you can formulate some sort of a business that keeps you sustained from the Western world here, and also find something that works here, you're a genius. You'll sustain.
I like that. What would be, some advice, general advice to, diasporans, African Americans who have that interest to move to the continent?
Visit. I'm not a person who will ever tell you on anybody's platform that all African Americans need to live here. I have been privileged enough to be in certain spaces where I've made friends with some diasporans. They've come here, they've sold everything they had back home. They came here and couldn't even survive 2 years here. I say visit. Stay for a few months if you can. If your money will allow you, stay for a few months. There are a lot of challenges. I say ask as many questions as possible. There are people here who will willingly tell you how things work and how they don't work. You need to come with patience. I'll say that. Just visit for maybe 6 months. See if this works for you. There are 54 countries on the continent. Ghana doesn't have to be, the end and be all. I never wanted to be a trend-seeking situation because a lot of people don't survive that. But I do understand why a lot of people will come to Ghana because the primary language spoken in the U.S. is English.
Right.
But some of us also learn French too. So Francophone countries may be an option for you as well. But Galliman, the world is your oyster. If you have a passport, please go any and everywhere, explore, because what it does, it gives you a sense of where you can and cannot be. And I never want people to be limited to the idea of, okay, I'm only going to be where the color of my skin, I hate to say this, but the way I've experienced life, for me personally, I can't speak for everybody else. I've been in situations where people who share the same color skin tone as me or different variations of it haven't been the kindest. I've experienced where Europeans have been more kinder. I've experienced the total opposite. So it's not, for me, I've never been kept in a box of it being a racial thing. I think it's a heart issue. I think it's a people thing. How do we all relate to each other?
I like it.
Yeah.
You are a full-time manager for Samatime.
I am.
Now, I want to be able to, give business advice. You find yourself doing so many things here, helping your daughter, achieve great heights, and people still look at what you do and what you've done for your kids, and they are wondering, is Ghana going to be a place for me? And if so, what are some businesses that would thrive if I'm able to do it when I move here?
That's a tricky, loaded question. It depends on what the parents decide they want to do. Like I said, coming here, capital is a big thing. So it's how much can you afford, and do you have the time? Do you have time? By the grace of God, I've been afforded time. So it allows me to explore different things with my children and see what I can and cannot do with them. Networking. I hope you're a people person because that comes with the territory of networking, and I am naturally a people person. So if you're friendly and you're business savvy, I think you can accomplish quite a bit here, but it all depends on what exactly are you looking to do.
Well, most people watching us are watching us from New York.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you
What's up?
what would be the message for the New Yorkers?
You need the patience of Job. I want you to have a lot of patience. Ghanaians are beautiful people. They really are. There are cultural nuances that happen. Like I said, passive aggressiveness, which is we're super friendly, but with the underlining of what can I get from you and how much can I hustle out of you. This is where I have to also talk to the Ghanaians. And I want Ghanaians to take into consideration because there's been scammings going on, and I think we've all heard about them. The most horrific thing that I can ever imagine happening is that a Ghanaian, not all Ghanaians, so let me preface that properly. There's a lot of Ghanaians who mean you no ill will, and they will help assist, and most don't want anything out of you. But there are pockets of people here, but that's not just Ghanaians, that's everywhere you go. So you need the street smarts everywhere you go. There are people who want to hustle you out of stuff. The thing that scares me is that I want the people who hustle people in Ghana to know that there is a certain type of PTSD that is going on with New Yorkers because, like I said, me at 5 years old seeing someone get murdered in front of me. I've seen a whole lot of stuff growing up, and it's a lot. There's a certain trauma that comes with people from the diaspora who come here, and they can be easily triggered. And I never want to see any kind of atrocities happen between the two before you get to have a conversation and see how the diaspora could help you rather than you hustling something out of them. It could turn tragic really quick. So I would say for people in general, everywhere you go, if you're in need of something, have an adult conversation and say, hey, I'm looking for work. I'm looking for opportunity. You, the diaspora, who has dealt with learning how to maneuver certain systematic things or systemic things over there, and you have a certain skill set, you bring that over here. How can we mutually benefit each other? How can I work for you and how can you teach me so that, how do we say back home, I want to be a fisher of men. I want to teach you how to fish. I don't want you to rely on me to bring the fish. So how do we have that kind of didactic conversation so I can learn and we can be mutually beneficial? I think when everybody has that mindset and we all come together, this continent is going to be a force to reckon with.
I like that. Now, Ghanaians and people in Africa often look at America as the, where the pavements are golds and diamonds, right? So when you move back here, you're like, wow, this person is so rich. No, yeah. But, on the other hand, I had people on the show, Pab, who said to me that, listen, most African Americans can't even afford to come to Ghana.
He's telling the truth. I was so excited when I saw that. I was like, this man, he needs 10 microphones. He needs to preach. Every platform he can get on. I hope he keeps saying it. We don't come here rich. We've worked hard, and I think that's another conversation that needs to be had. We work countless hours, 40 plus hours a week. I remember when I was working at a law firm, some of these lawyers work 90 plus hours during the week. Like they barely went home, working around the clock just to make a large sum of money. And what I want people here to understand on the continent is that, I hate to say this, it's going to sound messed up. It's a different way of slavery that is happening in the West. We are being overworked.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you'll sign a contract and you'll work, but you don't really rest. You work so much to get to, it's a debt system going on back in the West. You're paying to live a lavish life that is debt. Like here, you can, if you have the capital, you can buy a home out here outright. It's yours.
Right.
In the U.S., we have the illusion of it's yours. It's not. You are working for a very long time to pay a mortgage. That mortgage, when you die, now gets handed over to your children and their children's children. Because even after you pay the mortgage, it's called property taxes. You're still paying something. It's never yours. So you have the illusion of, oh, I have a car, but you're paying car note. It's everything Kwab said to you was spot on. So with that said, it creates a hardship for some diaspora who do want to come. They cannot afford. They are swimming in, I got to pay car note. I got to pay mortgage, light bill. I got to pay, some people pay for water. I got to pay all these different things for cell phone and college tuition and this and that and this and that. I don't think I'm ever going to have the money to see where my ancestors originated from. And I think that's the worst thing.
Yeah, and even when they get here, they get charged double the price. And then that becomes very frustrating.
It does. It does.
Thank you so much for talking to me.
You're welcome.
I just admire what you do.
So I want to know, how's the experience been here at the Black Star Line Festival?
It's been enlightening. It's been a game changer for me. It's for a lifetime I've been wanting to come to Ghana and make a pilgrimage to Africa. And I think for a lot of us in the black community in the States, I think it's a necessary journey to make to fully understand who we are and where we came from. And so to be here for this event, the Black Star Line Festival, first of its kind, first ever done, inaugural, and sitting here talking with you, I'm glad I'm having this experience.
Thank you.
Absolutely, and I feel complete. I feel whole.
Seeing all what she's done, and how do you feel, honestly?
I cry. I cry a lot sometimes, behind closed doors, of course. It's amazing. Like, our life is totally different. It's amazing. It's a lot of things happening that I didn't expect.
A lot of things happening that if this actually was really happening, or if it was in the movie, I wouldn't believe it with my own two eyes.
Yeah.
Because the way that God has aligned things for us, it's beautiful. It's, for me at least, a bit unnatural, but yet how He's aligning everything for us, I'm very grateful. And on top of that, I want to say quick shout out to Ms. Zizi for this nice jersey. I love it. It's super comfortable. So thank you for my black jersey and my white jersey.
Yeah, so she's pointing to the back for a reason. So
Yes.
Ms. Zizi,
What is that?
it's a brand, a Ghanaian brand, and they customized it. And these were her gifts. So
Yep.
shout out to Ms. Zizi for
And it's made in
customizing.
Ghana.
Yep.
No, actually, so they're Ghanaians, but they're based in Texas, I believe.
Okay.
So they big supporters of Samatime.
Yes.
And
Shout out to them, man. You're doing a great job. And then where can people buy it if they want it?
Mazizi is online, and they're also Mazizi shop is on Instagram, so you can follow them. They make some excellent jerseys.
I like that.
Yes.
I like that. Guys, go check them out and just copy yourself some nice shirt. And yeah, guys, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
talking
you.
to me. If you guys do have a final message, what would that message be?
I'd say God first. I'm always gonna say that. Don't talk yourself out of whatever you feel. Oh, sorry. Whatever you feel that's going on inside of you. If you have gifts and talents, don't let other people tell you can't do it. You don't talk yourself out of it. Just ask God, universe, it, however you relate to it, to put the right people around you, give you the discernment and the wisdom to know who those people are and how to network perfectly with those people for long-lasting relationships. Also know that certain people are put in your life for a season. Not everybody's meant to go to the next step with you. Some people will journey the whole way through. Some people will not, and that's okay. And if you make the attempt to live out your dream and you fail at first, failure is a blueprint for success. I wouldn't sit there and beat myself up over it. I would just sit there, study what I did wrong, and come back 10 times stronger. You have everything in you that you need to succeed, but you've got to believe it first.
I like that.
As
Someone.
like my mom said, God first. Believe in Him. Let Him guide you. Dream big. Know that nothing is impossible without God's help. But nothing is impossible with God's help. And that you're doing great. Keep on going on the road you're going. Have fun. Live life. And do what you do.
Now, before I let you go, if you are given one opportunity to change something about Ghana or Africa, what would that be?
That is a very, very, very good question. Would you like to go first?
No more doom so.
So, have you experienced them so in New York before?
No, not really.
No, really. But in Ghana was the first time?
Yes. I have to agree with you. No doom so.
So you change them so?
Yes.
I like that. Now, before I let you go, can you tell Swain that I need him to come on my show? Oh, okay.
I will message him.
Please do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking to me. And please go check Samatime out on all social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram. Check her out. She's doing amazing. 10 years old, and trust me, she's interview celebrities that I want to interview, but I don't have. I don't even get a chance to. She's doing amazing. Go support her.
Thank you.
Also her mom.
Don't follow me. Do not. I hate the internet. Do not. Until I come out with something, then you follow me. Stay tuned. You never know. But for now, everything is Summertime 12 and Webnation.
Yes.
Thank you, Medasi.
I appreciate you guys. Stay tuned to Webnation. You're doing great.
Thank you.